Hey guys, it's Psychosis here again. I'm bringing you another video, and today, as you've probably seen in the title, we'll be reviewing Red's newest album, Rated R, which is a goofy name, but it's fun. It's a play on their name, and as you can see with the logo on their art and the artwork, it's like a movie title, movie rating, and it has their logo like that. Really simple, but it's really fun with the gold coloring and stuff. And the colors, black, white, and gold, it just works and fits together. Really nice but simple combination of colors. Yeah, and this is an album that I've been procrastinating on listening to. I've wanted to listen to this album like all year long, and I haven't gotten to it because I've listened to a lot of music this year. And yeah, and I finally sat down and listened to it and decided, well, I've listened to it twice already, let's review it. And I especially wanted to, as I've become a huge fan of this band's older albums. Like I've binged for their first two for like a while there in the summertime, early fall. So I was into this band. But yeah, today we'll be reviewing Rated R by Red. And yeah, to start off with, I really like this album. Long story short, I really like this album. Like the music's really good. I really liked it, and it's a sharp contrast to that Of Mice and Men album I reviewed. That album was disappointing, but this album met my expectations and it defied them. I guess you could say, as I thought it was just gonna be exactly by the books. Nothing wrong with that, but I thought they were just gonna stick 100% to their sound that just works, and that would make it for a fun album, but it'd also be like not really unpredictable. But that's what this album did. It was really unpredictable though compared to the other ones, or from what little I've heard, few albums I've heard of them, because they incorporate elements that were really fun. Like there's like actual screaming on a few songs on this album, which I haven't heard. Because normally he just sings, but he screamed in a few of the songs, and I was like, ooh, he's screaming, and they're actually not too bad. And they're actually kind of heavy for what this music is, because it's like all Red's like a rock alternative metal band, so they're not really heavy. So anything that's different, like ooh, that's cool. And then they got the cool like modern electronic sounds, symphony type sounds, and of course there's symphonic element or orchestral sound, background noises that they have, orchestral instruments. I don't even know what I'm saying there, but they like to throw that in their music. They always have, and those are back in this album, and I'm glad because it's such a nice thing they have. That's what I mean. There's still the elements that make Red Red, but it's clearly modern. They're clearly going in a new direction. And I haven't even talked about the guitar yet. The riffs are pretty fun. They're not like groundbreaking or anything. I wasn't expecting them to be, but they're actually really fun. And one of the songs I really liked, I forgot what it is, but I consider it to be the heaviest song on the album. And there was an actual like breakdown that was kind of like a Korn-ish breakdown, kind of like Korn riffs, kind of. But then it was also like a genty breakdown, and they were almost genting for a second there. I was like, ooh, this is really fun. And the funny thing is, that wasn't even the best song on the album, or at least not my opinion, not my favorite song on the album. I really don't know what my favorite song on the album is, because each of the times I've heard it, I've liked a different song more than the other songs, and vice versa. I have liked all of them, so I wasn't able to pick a favorite song. And I wasn't really paying attention to the song titles very much. I just kind of put the music on and listened and just soaked it all in because I was excited to hear it. And I really liked it. It was awesome. The guitar, like I said, it's really fun. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but it just sounded really good, and it kept me into it. And like I said, it's this album's ahead for them, at least. It's heavier than their older stuff at times. So it's like, ooh, yay, as somebody who likes deathcore, metalcore, especially metalcore, death metal. I was like, ooh, this is actually kind of cool. And yeah, and that's why this music's so fun is because alternative metal they like to throw things in and mix it up a bit. And I'm not really particularly as big into heavy music as other people are. So I'm like, ooh, heavy bands going, soft bands going heavy, and that's fun because it's like a reverse. Normally bands get softer with time, but Red decided to go heavier. Like I said though, it's mostly on a few songs. A lot of their songs have singing and the general singing. A few of their songs go back to their traditional sound a bit more. I really like those. Those might actually be my favorite, maybe just because I love Red's sound in general. From what I've heard of this band, I absolutely love them. I binge them, and it's funny because a few years ago it wouldn't be that case, but I've just really been digging these alternative rock metal bands. They're just really fun to me, and yeah. But the real highlight that I should have mentioned is the drums. The drums are probably the best part about this album, besides the singing. Like the singing is always a highlight, so I don't really talk about that because his voice is you hear his voice in a song and you know it, and it's really good. But I if you've heard of Red, you probably already know that. But the drums on this album are just awesome. Like their mixing is just great. Like they're mixed loud and they sound really strong in the mix, and it's fun because you don't see that a lot. Because normally drums are loud and you hear do 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 do, but and stuff, but they don't really overpower anything. In this album, the drums are way louder, and it's really fun because hearing a guitar riff and then you hear a drum beat that's just like louder than it's really cool. And with the more like modern production, it makes the album sounds loud and huge and massive, and I just love that sound. But it doesn't sound like hollow or fake like a lot of modern production is. So I love that. Like that's my biggest turn on with a lot of newer bands is even the music. It's just the production. I'm like a nerd about that. But the production of this album was great, and this whole album was just great. I think really though the biggest flaw with this album is actually its runtime. This album was sadly unfortunately very short. I should say I said the wrong word there. It's unfortunately really short. Most albums are between like 38 to 42 minutes. This album's only like 33 minutes long. Like so, it like barely constitutes as an album in terms of duration, but the music's really good all the way through. And yeah, I just really like that. I keep going on about the same things, but I just really like this album. I was worried that I wasn't going to, and that my expectations would have just been like made me disappointed because I was happy for this album thinking about it, but I kept forgetting because I was just like, oh, I'm listening to so much other things because I have listened to a lot this year in terms of new albums and stuff. But yeah, I really liked the album. It was really good. And yeah, the production was excellent. I loved the mixing of the drums. The guitar sounded cool, but just the way the drums were, they just sounded so powerful, and I really like that. The singing is great and excellent. His voice is always steals the show, despite how great everything else around him is. Even the bass. I haven't even talked about the bass. The bass is really good on this album. Like it's actually kind of audible at times, which is surprising because most metal doesn't have that. Like you normally when you hear a metal song, you don't hear the bass, but you know it's there. Like it, like you know the presence of it's there because of how that it sounds. Because bass really adds the to it. It really adds depth to it. It's like a bridge between the drums and the guitars. It really gives it that extra edge. So that's why it's fun. But yeah, but in general though, bass is always like overseen, so it's not really like Like, despite how good bass can be, no one really cares about it much. So I don't really talk about it much. But I like the bass. But it's still, everything else overshadows it. And the sound was just so good that it's just like, oh, whatever. And yeah, the funny thing though with this album is a lot of it is slower though. Like, it seemed a lot slower at time for a lot more parts than I thought it was gonna be. Like, there's more slower songs, and there's nothing wrong with that. And one of the songs is I'm just calling it's coming back to me now. It's called Cold World, and it made me think of the song of the album Color by Mice and Men, but it's leagues ahead of that album. That song is, in terms of just quality and how much I enjoy it. Just from my few times listening to it, it's just really good. And yeah, I just really like this album, but it's really short, and which is really sad. It's really short, and yeah, and then like I said, it's heavier than their other albums. The production's great, but there's still, despite the heavier tone and feeling of the album, there's still a lot of softer parts, and there's a lot of more traditional moments and songs on the album. And I honestly like those better because I'm kind of biased because, like I said, I binged the first two albums like a lot by this band. And they're also kind of goofy in a way because they people label them as a Christian band, so that's also why it made me interested in them. But their lyrics aren't really deep lyrically, like they don't really connect the dots a lot to that stuff. So it makes them more accessible to people that aren't Christian, but it's also kind of just like, oh, they could have put more. But the last song though, I really love the lyrics though. If we're talking about lyrics, that's probably my favorite in terms of lyrics on the entire album. Talking about finding a love that you can't find normally. It's just like, yeah, that really connected to me. And yeah, I'm a nerd too. I like lyrics in my music. I like to know what songs are about. And because of personal convictions that I'm not going to talk about here, I just I do avoid stuff because of certain lyrics, but it's my own convictions. Not it's not like it's just what I do. But yeah. Anyways, that I'm just gonna cut it off there because it feels like I'm just repeating myself a lot, like I do a lot. But this album was excellent and fantastic. I'll give this album as a final rating a 9 out of 10. Just absolutely excellent. It's a very good alternative metal rock album, whatever you want to classify it as. And yeah, production's great, drums are powerful, the vocals, as usual, from what I've heard of this band, he always gives his A game in the vocals and his singing, just has an excellent voice. The album it just hits the sweet spot. Like every time I hear it, I have a different experience, and it's always good. Like different songs jump out to me. And that's why I haven't talked about what my favorite song is, like an actual list of songs, because the biggest flaw about success of this album is that it feels like it was made to be listened to in one experience, in one sitting. And so if you listen to the songs by themselves, it's just like eh. But if you listen to the whole thing from start to finish, it all just connects and flows together, in my opinion. And that's just really, I just love that. But yeah, 9 out of 10. Red's Rated R is a very good album. And this is an example of how to do an alternative metal slash rock album compared to of Mice and Men's Tether, which I reviewed and I did not like too much and was really disappointing. But yeah, that's my review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said before, if you have any requests or albums for me to review, I will gladly review them. I enjoy talking about music and nerding out about music. But yeah, that's all I have today. This is real. I'd highly recommend this album. I hope you all have a good day and night. And I'll see you next time. Bye.